Welcome to Inside Imaginary Realism, an art show about visionary art and beyond. I'm Bonny Hut and we bring you this new mini-series. Each week we will be asking new and different questions of our artists living in Australia. We will be introducing art genres occasionally overlooked by the mainstream art world, now regaining recognition.
Can anyone learn to be an artist? If so, how?
I think that if I'm an artist, that anyone could be an artist. I think that it takes a certain amount of dedication, and it takes a certain amount of balancing and a certain intention to actually have your art viewed on an international level, to have your art appreciated by many people, and to have it in many venues and these sorts of things. But I believe that anyone can tap into creative skill and become an artist.
I'd say anyone can learn to be an artist. I think it's an important aspect of life, and it's a part of ourselves that we all have, although some people have lost touch with that part of themselves. People, when I've been teaching, the most difficult people to teach are perfectionists, because creating art is a series of mistakes.
Yeah, we're all creational beings, and if you have the will to want to become an artist, then I suggest just being brave enough to really go there in any way you can.
Anyone can learn to paint, draw, create, because it's in everyone to create. But I don't think everyone has it in them to continue on with it and have that passion and that drive to excel to a height. You know, it's like, say, I'd say 1 in 10 people that can, or 1 in 50 people that can paint and draw will actually have that spark and take on.
I think talent is actually desire. The desire to do it, and if you've got the desire to do it, you'll learn it. Where everybody can learn to a certain extent, I think it takes that person who really, really wants to get there. They're the ones that achieve. So I guess you have to draw a line at what you would call an artist, their skill, you know.
And the ability to see.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the hardest thing to teach a person is to see.
Yeah, I think anyone can do expressive, artistic things if they enjoy it and having fun. That's what matters. In terms of as a career, I don't think it's a wise move for everyone to be hankering after that. I don't think that everyone would. They wouldn't be that stupid. So, yeah, it depends what you mean by art.
Yes, just through applying yourself and bringing your passion out and just absorbing yourself in it.
Yes, I think anyone can learn to be an artist. I did, basically. Having said that, unless you've got that from here, unless you've got that real deep feeling that you just have to do this before you die, then I think that's where a true artist can carry it through to the day they die. Whereas you can learn art, but if you haven't got that passion, then you won't carry that through.
Yes, anyone can be an artist. You can learn to be an artist. Everyone is an artist somewhere deep in their secret selves. It's a matter of finding that and cracking it open. How can they be an artist? By just doing it. By listening to their own inner voice of guidance and not taking on board unnecessary and ridiculous criticisms, really. Just practice, practice, practice.
What are your views about Aboriginal art?
Aboriginal art, I feel, communicates directly to the soul of the world, the collective consciousness, and gives an overview of spirit. So engaging in spirit. This is like the language of spirit. So you can't get more real or integral than that. This is like authentic language of the soul.
Aboriginal art is an awesome way to experience the environment in which you're in. From what I know, Aboriginal paintings, you're not supposed to paint anything that isn't in the local area. I think that's an incredible way to attune to the spirit of the land.
I think that Western culture could learn a lot by embracing Aboriginal art and Aboriginal culture some more. As a foreigner to this land, just a quick story, I was sitting at the airport in San Francisco looking at a Qantas plane that was covered with seemingly Aboriginal art. And I was very excited to see how the indigenous culture and the Western culture would get along given this information. But soon after I arrived here, I came to realize that the truth is quite different, and that it was more of a marketing ploy than anything else.
I reckon with Aboriginal art, I see them as visionary artists. I see them, the mysticism that's involved with their work, they're very connected to the earth, even by the way they paint, you know, like majority, you know, how they're painting on the ground, and it's almost like, from what I've witnessed, is a subconscious sort of approach which connects them to their ancestry.
Yeah, I think I'd go the same, yeah. They're almost visionary artists, or at least my interpretation of a good visionary artist, yeah.
The best of storytelling. When I see Aboriginal art, is what I love, is what I do in my art, but they do it so well because they're rooted. They're right into what they believe in and what their dream time. They can take it deeper than most, and I think when you look at their art and you understand it, I don't understand it all, but when you're told, yeah, you can really understand what they're on about.
It really influences my work. It's another thing too. It's when I was younger, I didn't understand it. Now I look at it and I realise that they crush their own paints from rocks, their pigments. The colour scheme that they use is indicative of where they live. Everything's made from scratch. Every single dot is a story. They all have individual tales, and you can look at a painting if you know enough about it and pick the region that it's from. I think it's amazing. And it's one of the oldest forms of art on the planet at the moment, and yeah, it's beautiful.
What are your views about abstract art?
I get it. I do get abstract art. A lot of people don't. I get it because my background is design and display, and that's the end all be all in that sort of thing. And when you see balance and you see putting colour on a canvas, it isn't just slapping it on, it's actually that bit of colour needed to be there on that canvas. And if you've got your darks on this side and your lights that side, you really need to balance that up, and aesthetically when you walk back from it you say, yeah, that's it, the balance is there. So I do get it. Whether it goes deeper than that, I don't know. It's not my kind of painting, but I do get it.
Some of it's interesting, some of it's ridiculous, some of it's a cop-out, some of it's people trying to conform to what everyone else thinks they should be trying to conform to. Some of it's aesthetic and fits nice in a restaurant. Yeah, it's not something I can give one opinion of as a collective because it's such a varied thing.
I think it's interesting. I think the compositions of abstract art are always really dynamic often, and sometimes the simplicity of some abstract art makes me tired, but in the same way, the over complexity of some visionary, I'm going to pull out all the tricks in my book, work, that was also fatiguing. So it depends. I find that Mark Rothko, I didn't understand his work for a long time, and then I was given a card when my mother died where I suddenly understood the emotional ramifications or significance of his horizontal layers of colour, and that was a bit of a revelation for me in terms of abstract art. So yeah, I think it can be really interesting.
Abstract art to me really just abstracts the deeper meaning, and I feel that often when I look at a piece of abstract art, it's almost regurgitated. There's an abstract of an essence of soul in it, so I find that often it's just a mental abstract. To me, it has no deeper meaning, and it doesn't allow me to inquire further. It sort of stops you right there, and I usually move on to the next piece.
Abstract art to me, it's like instrumental music. There's no words, and so you really can't pick up its full meaning, or it might be difficult to pick up its full meaning. It moves you in the sense that it's dramatic or it's lighthearted, and you get all those feelings. It can be quite nice, and I like it. But as far as putting a message across, it's probably not the best way. Yeah, I think that's probably where I'd put abstract art. I quite like it. I like texture and like pattern, but that's probably where it ends for me.
Yeah, well, I think there's good and bad in abstract. The good abstract painters, well, you get a feeling from their line work. Personally, for my own work, I see abstract as a means to an end, because I'll use abstract images to go further into a painting with the lines. But overall, yeah, there's a bit of a saturation of abstract, and there's a lot of bad abstract, and they tend to be a little bit high and mighty about it. But so be it. There's a place for everyone in the world, and
I love abstract arts. My artwork affiliates itself to abstract art in many ways. I appreciate how color, shape, texture, form, and repetition can create harmony within themselves and interrelationships with one another outside of what the definition of something is.
What are your views about digital art?
I feel that digital art is still vastly unappreciated. There's still many people who labour under the assumption that it's somehow cheating or not real art or not as hard work, but to me it's just another medium that needs just the same level of skill, in fact more, because you have to understand computers as well as colours and composition. So I do a little bit of digital art myself. I know how to do it, but it would be something I'd like to step into a little more in the future, and I admire a lot of people that do beautiful digital art.
I don't do digital art. I certainly appreciate digital art, but again, I don't think it requires as much patience or dexterity in drawing directly from your psyche and through your fingers onto a canvas or onto a sculpture. I think it loses its sense of human touch with the computer, but at the same time I really appreciate what is created and the multi-dimensional layering that it facilitates.
I used to have a lot of resistance to digital art. As a photographer, when things started to change into digital, a lot of us had trouble getting with the program. But now I love digital art. I love the tools that it has. I love it. I love living in a digital age and the possibilities that come with it.
Well, we are living in the digital age, so it's only natural that things like digital art and digital music start to come to the forefront. One aspect of digital art, I would say, is a lot like music. In the fact that they don't have a tangible base asset like with oil painting or traditional art. They generally make copies, and their base asset is more virtual or intellectual property.
Yeah, digital art can very much inspire me. I don't practice any digital art myself, although I would like to learn. But I feel that it can hold the concept and the imagination. It can render an artwork much faster than it does for me. So I painstakingly brush each tiny little brush stroke in. But the advantage of that is that I go through this spiritual journey as I'm doing that. So I think perhaps digital art can be more readily available, can be a lot faster. But perhaps we would be mindful to find that spiritual journey as well in the creating of digital art.
I quite like the imagery because I like to create. That fact that digital art can only ever be printed seems to just lose it for me. I look at their imagery and love it, but to have it on a piece of paper printed, it just doesn't seem to be the same. I'm sorry.
I can get inspired by some of these digital artists, especially the great ones. Although they do have tools which allow them to get there faster, with textures to wrap around objects, but I also appreciate that they respect people that can paint with their hands, with paint. So there is a mutual respect. Yeah, same with the idea of...
Because we're painters, we like to have that tangible, original.
Yeah, and I feel looking at a painting on the wall with that feel, with that first-hand attack, you know.
Where you can see the texture.
I think it's got lots of potential, like any form or media of art. It's not something that I'm interested in pursuing. I think it's got a sameness about it, and I think not doing something by hand changes things, so I have an issue with it in terms of that sort of, it's not primitive, but that sort of real fundamental hand thing does something to your head, and the slowness of it is something which I think digital art has removed in some ways.
I'm doing a lot more digital art now myself. I'm working on things using my phone, and for what I do, has this really fantastic ability to be able to constantly grow and develop, and its impermanence is really amazing. The ability that it's not set in stone. At any point in time you can go forwards and backwards, and it has this amazing flexibility. But it also has this incredible way of being able to add what seems to be impossible layers of information over and over and over again. I think that it's not truly valued as an art form, and it's still not recognised as an art form, and I think that's absolutely a shame. It's such an incredible new medium, and I think that I want all artists to be able to approach it and look at it as this blank canvas of possibilities that isn't limited by the imagination.
Do you have any advice for people wanting to tap into their creative side?
Yes, definitely. I would invite people to clear their intention as to why they are wanting to make art. I would invite them to follow their highest excitement, so follow their true heart's desire and their pure joy, and that will help to lead them and guide them in the right direction when it comes to artistry and the creative process.
Oh, do it. You have to do it, even if it's a hobby. Even if it's just to get away from the everyday, mundane stuff. And I have a lot of that. It's so good to go in a studio or go anywhere, plein air, do whatever you have to do. Just get into it because it's the best. It's very therapeutic, I think.
Pull the stick out your butt and get into it.
Don't do it, it's scary. It can drive you mad, yeah. You've got to be alone, you've got to be a type of person to be able to tap into this, you know, to a large extent. I think that solitary sitting there thinking and creating, like we do with brushes when we haven't got an idea of what we're going to do, that's what taps into my creative side. How you portray that to other people, I guess they've got different ways of doing it.
I feel that everyone should tap into their creative side sometime in their life, including the politicians and the corporate giants out there who never tend to dabble in a creative source. They miss out on something in the world and therefore become destructive.
I think to tap into your creative side, you need to find the space within yourself to drop the bullshit around you, to drop the busyness of the mundane world, and to really allow the spaciousness inside to find what you would like to open up for yourself, as in the creative process, whatever it is, whatever medium that you find yourself drawn to, then perhaps set it up in your living space. Have a dedicated space in your home so that it's part of your living, it's not separate from your living. So integrate it into your everyday living space. And I feel that's a really good way to bring that in.
The best way to tap into your creative side is to actually be crazy. Like, I mean, you know, you see things that happen down the pub and you start getting a bit drunk and you all start raving on saying the silliest things, but suddenly something will pop out that is totally excellent, you know, and it's because you've been silly. And you're not scared to say what you
Playful.
think. Yeah, playful. Yeah, that's the best way to do it, is to, as soon as you get serious, you stop being creative. Yeah. You've got to be mad.
Follow your passion. Find your passion, feel it, explore it, and know that you are the master and lord of your own creative world, your own what is beautiful, what inspires, what burns in you. You have the final say on that. There's no judge, jury, there's nothing. You just relax and talk to yourself, commune with yourself, look and appreciate what you see and how to express that. Don't second guess everything, just relax.
We trust that you enjoyed this week's program. Inside Imaginary Realism was brought to you by Metro Television. Please see the Visionary Art Network Australia's website to see more art and artists. visionaryart.net.au. The Department of Communication intend to take community television off-air Australia-wide. Please go to Channel 31's website at c31.org.au and join the campaign to keep us on air.